Hey everybody, want to do this little video on the King of the Carnival. I just posted the 12 series of parts up there, and I want to talk about it. I want to start by talking about Harry Lauter. He was the star of this film, along with, you see, the rest of the cast. But this film was made in 1955. It was a series. It was a serials. Kids would go see them. They'd show one episode every week at the theater. Now, Harry Lauter, to me, he's one of my favorite actors. Maybe you never heard of him. If you're watching this show, you probably have. But if you're not into this stuff, let me tell you about these people. The people that did these films were the best actors money could buy out there. They worked cheap. They could do anything, and they could learn lines and get out there and do it day in and day out, all day long, and go from set to set, doing, in 1 minute they're a cowboy, the next minute they're under sea, the next minute they're in the detective film, and they're learning all these lines, and they're incredible. So 1955, what was Harry Lauter doing that year? Well, along with being the star of King of the Carnival, here's a list of what he did in 1955. He was on the TV show The Millionaire. He was co-star of the TV show The Texas Rangers. He was seen on shows on the Annie Oakley Show. He was on the Lone Ranger Show. He was on The Adventures of Wild Bill Hickok, Buffalo Bill Jr., The Adventures of Champion. He was in a movie show, called At Gunpoint. He was in another one called That Big Uranium. That Big Uranium, I think, was also starring Hillary Clinton. He was in another one called The Crooked Web. I didn't realize that. She was probably in that one, too. He was also on the Gene Autry Show. He was in a movie called The Apache Ambush. He was on the Schlitz Playhouse. He was in the movie Creature with the Atom Brain. He was also in the movie It Came From Beneath the Sea. Both those movies were Columbia pictures. He was in a lot of stuff Columbia put out. I think he had a contract with them, but he'd get rented out to Republic and the other people that were making serials. And he gets killed in It Came From Beneath the Sea by a giant octopus. If you've never seen that, it's pretty cool. He was on stage, Not a Stranger, King of the Carnival, Lord of the Jungle, Outlaw Treasure, The Eternal Sea, Treasury Men in Action, the My Little Margie TV show, So You Don't Trust Your Wife was another show he was on. That's a pretty good one. Do You Trust Your Wife? And he was in another one called Public Defender. I guess if you don't trust your wife, you better get a public defender. He was on the Roy Rogers Show. And he was also on the TV show Passport to Danger. I've studied a lot of these actors. That's Moritz Hugo right there on the right. All these people, they were all in hundreds of films and movies, throughout the year, and they all knew each other. I mean, it was like I can't imagine the fun they had just going from set to set, and they all knew each other, and they all partied together. But these guys couldn't have partied. They weren't drunks. They weren't on drugs like the people that are out there in Hollywood. They're making the gazillions of dollars that make one movie a year, and they called big stars. They show up and they maybe do a movie, and they're on a set for a couple months, and they have to wait every day to shoot because they got to wait for them to sober up. These people worked tirelessly. They did their own stunts. They did it all, and they just went from set to set. And like I said, I have no clue how they could learn the lines they did, because I've listened to them talking about it on interviews, and they said that they'd be literally given a script when they left the set at like 8 that night and said, be on the set tomorrow and ready to shoot. And they'd be on the set, and they could all ride horses, roll, tumble. This guy, he's pretty old here, and you can't just fall on the ground like that at that age. It's pretty incredible. His co-star in this film was named Fran Bennett. Fran Bennett was a pretty smart girl. She was 21 years old when you see her here, and she didn't do a lot in Hollywood. She married a doctor, and she got the hell out of Hollywood. She was a major in mathematics in college, and ended up marrying a doctor. And obviously, she was very smart, but she had her little time there in Hollywood. The bad guy in the film that's given him a lot of trouble is Keith Richards, and he plays bad guys in a whole lot of stuff. And one of my favorite shows that he's a really bad dude. You know, he's just so mean.